Rob Cook was born in Phillipsburg, New Jersey in 1969. He is the author of 3 collections of poems, Songs for the Extinction of Winter, Rain Mountain Press, 2006, Diary of a Tadpole, The Dirtbag, Rain Mountain Press, 2009, and Blackout Country, Blaze of Ox, 2009. He lives in Manhattan's East Village with his girlfriend and 2 cats, and works very sporadically as a freelance editor. Cook writes, "The Song of America was written during a very frightening 9-day period of heart arrhythmia, due probably to a change in my psychotropic medication. Thanks to my incompetent psychiatrist. I was also listening to a lot of Gary Moore, David Gilmour, Solace, Leonard Cohen, Tears for Fears, Joan Armatrading, and Ronnie Montrose. James Cummins was born in Columbus, Ohio in 1948 and grew up in the Midwest, primarily in Cleveland and Indianapolis. He received a BA from the University of Cincinnati and an MFA at the University of Iowa Writers Workshop. His first book, The Whole Truth, was published by North Point Press in 1986, and his second, Portrait in a Spoon, by the University of South Carolina Press in 1997. The Whole Truth was reissued in the Carnegie Mellon University Press Classic Contemporary Series in 2003. His third book, Then and Now, was published by Swallow Press, Ohio University Press in 2004. A fourth book, Jim and Dave Defeat the Masked Man, written collaboratively with David Lehman and collecting the sestinas written to date by the 2 poets, was published by Soft Skull Press in 2006. Cummins has been curator of the Elliston Poetry Collection at the University of Cincinnati since 1975, where he is also a professor of English. He lives in Cincinnati with his wife, Maureen Bloomfield, a poet and art critic, and their 2 daughters, Catherine and Margaret. Freud, Cummins writes, "This poem is atypical for me and hard to write about. It comes out of many things: Bush era frustration, Frederick Crew's vendetta against Freud, and identification with high modernist concerns that 2,000 years of Western culture is in error. A real loathing for so-called Christians, my own father's death and my mother's debility, members of the greatest generation destroyed by a depression and a world war, and thus turned into perhaps the worst parenting generation in the history of the country, and a general dismay at the soullessness of a country that believes only in ones and zeros. More than anything, it comes from a sense that our languages don't cohere. 2 brief recent examples: Tom Dausch's $128,000 tax debt seems like a small fortune to someone like me, yet it's just chump change to the players at the top of our period." This is, again, this stuff was written back in like 2008. I feel like inflation has affected that just a bit. Still poor, though. Much as we working stiffs resent it, should it be a big enough deal to knock him out of the game if he is in fact, the best qualified person to shepherd both health reform through the intricacies of the Hill, and the second, Rick, the man my age, who's been fixing our plumbing for 20 years, came over the week after the inauguration. I asked him what he thought about it. He said, I don't know, Jim. I hate socialism. Our languages just don't have the same meanings at different class and economic levels of our society. Maybe the writer's charge now is no longer to make it new, but to make it cohere. Denise Duhamel was born in Providence, Rhode Island in 1961. Her most recent books are Ka-Ching, University of Pittsburgh Press, 2009, 2 and 2, Pittsburgh, 2005, Millie et un Sentiments, Firewheel, 2005, Queen for a Day, Selected and New Poems, Pittsburgh, 2001. The Star-Spangled Banner, Southern Illinois University Press, 1999. And Kinky Orchizes Press, 1997, a bilingual edition of her poems, Afortunada de mi, Lucky Me, is translated into Spanish by Dagmar Buchholz and David Gonzalez, came out in 2008 with Bartleby Editores, Madrid. She is an associate professor of English at Florida International University in Miami. Duhamel writes, "How It Will End was written following a walk on the beach, very much like the one described in the poem. I was interested in the way the speaker and her husband were able to observe and judge another couple in crisis, poor things, rather than look at their own relationship, or alternatively looking at the young couple, gave the speaker and her husband a way to talk about their failing relationship. This is a poem of witness and of admission." Alice Fryman was born in New York City in 1933. Her ninth collection of poetry is Vinculum, forthcoming from Louisiana State University Press. Other recent books are The Book of the Rotten Daughter, 2006, and Inverted Fire, 1997, both from the BKMK Press and Zoo, University of Arkansas Press, 1999, which won the Ezra Pound Poetry Award from Truman State University and the Sheila Margaret Moughton Prize from the New England Poetry Club. She is also the author of four chapbooks. She has received fellowships from the Indiana Arts Commission, the Arts Council of Indianapolis, and the Bernheim Foundation, and she won the 2002 James Boatwright Prize from Shenandoah. She was a professor of English at the University of Indianapolis from 1973 to 1993, and now lives in Milledgeville, Georgia, where she is poet in residence at Georgia College and State University. Fryman writes, "Getting Serious was written while I was enjoying a month-long residency in the home of Carson McCullers in Columbus, Georgia. I was working on some very sober pieces about our summer trip to Peru. poems about the slaughter of 11 million Indians, the Spanish Inquisition's St. James, otherwise known as Santiago Killer of Moors, later to be dubbed Santiago Indian Killer, not to mention poems about how I had struggled to breathe at 16,000 feet. Maybe it was all that serious stuff I was reading about religion and hypocrisy that put me in such an irreverent mood, but the first words of getting serious just popped into my head, and from there on, following the thread, was irresistible and irreversible.